Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My mic on? It is. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is, I don't even know what day it is. It is, oh, and I can't see my watch in the glare. Thursday. We got back from shopping Tuesday night. Yesterday was a bit of a catch-up day, and today I really need to get into sorting the food. So I've just turned the smoker on out on the back deck. I haven't checked what I've got it set as. I have the app on my phone. It is a Pit Boss, and it is on Wi-Fi, and it wants me to log in, and I don't remember my details, of course. My phone must have updated. So I have an app that I can set the temperature that I want it to heat to and check the temperature. I also have my wireless probes that if you leave the little bit sticking out of the meat, then it will give you the ambient temperature as well. So it'll tell me what the actual temperature is, not necessarily just what the smoker is set to. So I've got the smoker going, we've got the pellets in there, and it's heating up at the moment. It's only just been turned on. When I packed up all the whole chickens from the shopping trip, I put 4 of them in a second esky to use as basically ice packs in the esky to keep that esky cold. And they were very partially defrosted by the time I got home. So I stuck them in the fridge instead of in the freezer so that I could cook them up fairly quickly. So I've got 4 of these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to butterfly them. We'll see. I can't find my poultry shears. I've got some kitchen scissors, but I don't know how great they'll be. But we're going to try and butterfly these to put them in the smoker. I mixed up a really quick, simple poultry seasoning. There's a bit of dehydrated celery, some thyme, some rosemary, some sage, a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, that kind of thing in there. I just mixed that up very quickly, and I'm just going to coat these. Ideally, dry brining them for a while would work, but at this point in the month, there is not enough room in the fridge to do that. So we're just going to throw them in as is, smoke them in the smoker, all 4 at once, and then we'll have some of this chicken to use for the next couple of meals. I'm not sure what I'm doing for dinner yet tonight. We did do the pork belly last night just because it was sitting in the fridge, it was easy to use. So first up, I need to get these butterflied. So it is, in theory, a simple thing to do. I'd really like to learn how to debone them properly, but it's time consuming, and today is not a day to be doing that, so we're not going to. So we're just going to butterfly them. So we've got them on the breast side down, and we've got the tail with the spine here. And the goal is basically to and I'm spilling chicken juices everywhere. I need to grab some paper towel. That's why I'm doing this as the first thing for the day. Basically, you just cut up the edge of the spine on both sides. Just like that. Poultry shears would be better, but these will work. Like that, and then we're just going to trim any bits that will burn off from the underside, and then we'll just trim the neck here a little bit so that it splits, and there we go. We've got a butterflied chicken. We're going to tuck the wingtips underneath the top of the chicken so that they don't burn before the rest of it cooks, like that. And then we've got that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pat it dry, run a bit of oil on it, and put the seasoning on it. All right, I'm going to put the spines in the bag that has all the offcuts from the thighs in it, because that will work well. I'm going to put a little bit of a sprinkle on the inside of this, but not too much, just a little bit, because it's going to be facing down in the smoker. So I used the wrong hand just then. All right, and then a little bit of a sprinkle over the top as well. Like that. Get it all up off the board. A little bit of seasoning like that, and then we're going to put this just on a tray at the moment, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other 3 and get them all in the smoker together. All right, next thing to do is pineapples. Now, I got 16 pineapples. The kids have eaten one that had a bit of a bad spot on it already. And I'm going to process the rest. So we're going to attempt to plant out the heads. So I'm going to keep those. And this is going to be for pineapple on pizzas, basically. That's the predominant use. Though I will also probably make some syrup out of this to use for the slushy machine and stuff too. So what I tend to do is I tend to keep the skin for making the syrup out of, and I am not as picky about the getting the eyes out and stuff. Like I take some flesh with it because I'm going to put that in the cordial mix as well. Can you grab me another one of these, please? Another Cambro container, please. Because I'm not actually wasting it if it's going to be turned into the syrup sort of thing. So I just shave off the eyes, and it doesn't matter if there's some flesh going with it because I'm going to use it for other purposes. So just doing that kind of thing. And then we're going to, this one's a bit ick in the middle. That's right, it's just overripe. So we will use the overripe bits for the cordial because it'll be nice and sweet. There's no bad fermented or rotten smell to it. It just smells super sweet. So then I just trim the pieces that we're going to use as pizza pineapple, and the little nice looking chunks for pizza. Everything else will go in a different container. That I'm going to put the scraps in this one, I think, because I think there's going to be more scraps than there will be pieces, or it will be mass wise, it'll work out that way. And just dice up the pineapple into little chunks because we have it on pizza, so you just want it in the smaller chunks like that. Any bits that aren't as nice looking we'll put in for the cordial syrupy stuff, and the rest we'll just dice up into these little cubes to go in jars for pizza topping. So I'll bring you back when I'm canning that, but I'm just going to work through them. This is what the chicken turned out like. Darryl's just hovering because he wants to eat the skin off them. Yes. But there's the 4 chickens from the smoker. So we will use that over today, tomorrow, however long it lasts. Today. So that's done. I've cut up all the pineapple. I'm just going to pause. I cleaned up a bit to pause for this, and then we will keep moving on that. With the pineapple scrap cordial syrup and that sort of thing, you're going to get the best result by pureeing up your skins. So every time I do this, some people have some strong opinions about using the skins. The pineapples get rinsed. There's no real way to clean them, and that's personal choice. This is going to be boiled for like 20 minutes as well to get all the juices out. And for me, I don't have a problem with it. It also gets citric acid and sugar and stuff added to it and gets canned. So all I'm going to do is put this into the Thermomix by batch and get it pureed up into a minced pineapple. All the flesh and the skin and everything will all mince up, and then that way when it's boiling, it's going to get the most juice out of it possible. We also have to strain it, which is always the sucky part. Darryl loves helping me with that.
No, so you're telling lies. I don't like it.
So this is all the cores, the skins, any bits of bruised bits. There's a lot of bruised bits. I would say there was probably only 2 or 3 pineapples that were completely yellow, which is it's what you get. They were $2 each, which is cheap. They then spent 2 hours sitting in the car park at Costco in the car, 3-hour drive home, and then it's been 36 hours that they've sat on the table as well. So that's the kind of thing that's going to happen, and that's what we expect. But so long as we use all of the parts. So the tops and tails, the heads I've kept for planting. The tops and tails of them have been fed to the animals, and then everything else is kept and will be turned into cordial and syrup. And then we have 2 what's that? That's a 6-quart container plus a bowl full of pieces, which are all nice and clean, which I will find enough jars to can for pizza toppings as well. I don't know how many jars that ends up being. But for $32, it'll still make an awful lot of stuff. All right, we've pureed it all using the mix. Now I need to put it back in the pot, but I want a guesstimate of quantity, weight, whatever. Because if we're going for a syrup, we're going for around about a 1-to-1 fruit to sugar ratio, because it's a syrup. It's super sweet, super condensed, super intense, and you use it in like a 1 to 10. 1 to 10. If we were making cordial, then you'd use far less sugar and you'd be using it in like a 1 to 5. So you'd be using twice the amount to the same amount of water, because it would be a cordial. So as a syrup, we make it sweeter and you use less and things like that. Normally has a thicker consistency as well. Now, this will not be, I'm going to add water to this as well, so that it has some liquid to pull all the syrup out. And the sugar is actually based on the ratio of what we've got after you strain it. So you normally simmer all this, let it steep, strain it, then add the sugar in the same quantity as what you're left with, and then bring it back up to a simmer for 10 minutes to make sure there's no crystallization. Add your citric or lemon or whatever. And then, though this is pineapple, it doesn't really need it, and then can it. So I am curious about the approximate amount that I've got here to start with. So I am going to do a basic weigh of it. Very much a guesstimate, because I don't know what these bowls weigh or anything either. But so that's sitting at about 3 kilos. So 2.5. This is about a 500 gram bowl. So about 2.5 there. I still have a jug left here, which is another 1 and a bit. So 2.5. So we got about 3.8, 3.9. And then I think these will be too heavy for my scales. Oh no, it's registering about 4.2, so we got about 8.1. And then that one would be too heavy. Yeah, it goes out as an error. So we've got 11.4-ish. So about 15 kilos of pulp is what we're going with. Well and truly fills my big pot that is in amongst a mess here. So this big pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top this up with like a bowl and a bit of water, just to bring it the level up a little bit. And then I'm going to get it simmering and we'll go from there. So this is about 1.5 litres of water. So it's like just 10% of water, just to add that little bit of liquid in there to create that little bit so that everything's coated. And now we're just going to simmer it, probably for a good half an hour, 45 minutes. Let all the fruit that's going to break down and things like that. And then we'll let it steep, probably overnight. I'll probably put a lid on it and let it steep overnight, and then we'll drain it tomorrow and we'll bring it back up to the boil with the sugar, strain it tomorrow, and then we'll bring it back up to the boil with the sugar tomorrow. That's normally sort of how I do it. So that's going to be the plan anyway. Now I did make some bread dough in amongst all of that. I was stretching and folding some ciabatta style dough, that like what I made the other day. Because I wanted to make some bread. So I'm just going to shape this out for the tray now. I'm going to do them a bit smaller than last time, but this is probably some of these have ended up a bit too small, but I am sure there'll be uses for each size. So we're just going to gently pick it up, flip it and place it so that we get that nice ripple effect of the flour on the bottom, which again is just a classic ciabatta style thing. And I'll grab another tray, I'll do the same thing, and then we'll put these aside for another half hour or so while I'm doing everything else I'm doing, and then I'll bake these off. I'll show you when they're done. All right, Darryl helped me wash a myriad of jars, whatever we could find to use. Most of the time a jar of these is used as pizza topping, so if it's a smaller jar or a big jar, we just use more or less on a pizza, so it's not a big deal. Now, in regards to canning pineapple, it can be a bit sour, and I'm going to can it in water as well. And when canning in water, the pineapple can lose a little bit of its, pizzazz, because the water leaches it out. Now the kids drink the liquid pineapple juice anyway, but what I do is I put a teaspoon of sugar, just 1 teaspoon of raw sugar in every jar, and then I'm going to top them up with hot water, and then I can them. And that is enough to just keep the colour nice and bright, stop the pineapple losing, like it helps with the texture, it helps with the flavour. Just that 1 teaspoon of sugar in each jar is just beneficial for the longevity of the product and the quality of it. Completely optional though, you do not have to add sugar. We just find that it is beneficial, as I said, to the quality of the end result. This 1 teaspoon of sugar makes a big difference. So we're going to do this, going to top them all up with hot water. Then we need to clean rims, and then I will have to can them, and I will probably use the seam canner and just sit out here for as long as it takes to do them in batches. There is a little bit of pineapple juice from where they were all sitting, so I'm just going to spread that out across a few jars. If you can can your pineapple in pineapple juice, you'll get a much more robust flavour, but water and a bit of sugar works too. And yes, there are still little bits of eye and stuff in amongst all this. I'm not concerned. I can break it off before I stick it on pizzas, or it's fine. It'll be fine. So I'm going to top all these up, and then I'm going to clean them all, and I'm going to put lids on them all, and then I'll get the steam canner going. I am still bringing the pineapple pulp to a boil. It has not to a simmer. It has not come up to a simmer yet. It's a really big pot, so it's still going. Right, so first lot filled. I debubbled them to make sure there's no air pockets in there, and the liquid has settled to where it will end up being. If you don't debubble it, sometimes the liquid is not quite enough, so then I've taken a little bit of liquid here, and added a little bit of liquid there as needed to get the head spaces all pretty good. I only need about a 1/2 inch headspace, centimetre and a bit, to on this sort of thing, because it's just fruit. It's just going to be canned for 15 minutes for me, 10 minutes if you're under 1,000 feet, but I am over 1,000 feet. We have a wide variety of jars, as I said. These salsa jars take 82mm lids, which are a pretty common size. The jam jars are the same. And the other ones, I don't know what this had in it, but it's like a grocery store jar. And it is a 63mm lid, which a lot of them are. A lot of your pasta sauces and everything are. I do have a couple of regular mouth mason jars here as well that I will have to pull lids out for. But for the moment, all I've done is these ones here, topped up, adjusted, headspace, debubbled, and all the rest of it. So I just did first lot. I'm going to get my steam canner out. I'm going to get these put in there and out of the way, and just keep on going. Fill the steam canner, run it for 15 minutes, and then rotate through them. 2 batches of pineapple out. Last 10 jars have just gone in. This is what the bread looks like, all my different size pieces, but it's this really nice, thin, chewy, but airy bread. I just really like it like this. Small flat sandwiches works well. I can do it in an actual sandwich size, or I can do it in the smaller snack size. However I end up doing it. This just happened to be what ended up working today. So bread sorted, 2 lots of pineapple. I've just turned the puree off and I'm going to put a lid on that to steep. And then I'm just cleaning up, and this last lot of pineapple, and then I'll have to do dinner. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing for dinner. I'll share it when I figure it out, if it's worth sharing. Other than that, I will be back at it tomorrow. All right, next morning. It's a late start though. It's already 12 o'clock. We've been doing other things, and I've got all this pineapple pulp to squeeze. So let's see what we get out of it. And we'll just Alright, so I'm going to squeeze as much as I can out of it this way, and then I might get a second bowl and let it sit, because I've got 2 of these. So this one can just sit for a little bit and drain while I fill the next one and work on that one as well. Maybe I'll do smaller amounts at a time, because there's heaps of liquid in here, but I'm having trouble sort of like working it through. Now this is all going to be boiled again. Obviously my hands are clean, the strainer's clean and everything else, but it is going to be boiled again. So I think I need to do less in it at a time to get the best quantity out. I do have this colander here though. That bowl's probably a bit small because we don't want it to seep out over the edges of the bowl. Something a little bit smaller than this would probably have been ideal because it's dipping quite low, but we're going to give it a go. So I'm just going to let that sit there for the moment, see what it does. If I put a weight on top, that might work too. Something to slowly push that in. Have to be clean. I'll have a think about that one. Let's just put that one to the side for the moment. And then I'll grab the other bag out. Actually, I've got cheesecloth here instead. I thought I had another one of those bags, but I might not. I have cheesecloth though. Man, I'm winging this a little bit, aren't I? Which I kind of need this for, don't I? Maybe we just try, let's try scooping some of this mostly dry pulp out and see if we get more from this. Like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, see, there's plenty of liquid in this. I'm just going to have to do it in smaller batches, I think, is what it comes down to. All right, definitely works with a smaller amount and feels both more time consuming and less at the same time. So if I just do 1 cup worth and bring it in, so you've got all the liquid's a whole lot easier to pull out because you're not fighting all the pulp. The cheesecloth works really, really well. You do have to be careful with cheesecloth. If you put too much pressure on it, the weave can split a little bit, but it's not such a big deal for us for this particular usage, because if there's a little bit of fruit pulp in the syrup, I'm not concerned. So then if we just squeeze it all out, I haven't tried a smaller amount in the nylon one yet, actually. I might give that a go just to see if it is easier, harder, or, you know, indifferent. So we just squeeze. I find cheesecloth harder to keep clean too, because it's cotton. The nylon has a tendency to be able to be kept clean and mold free easier. So that's all that I'm left with after that whole jug worth. So that's a and it's pretty dry. It's very much a pulpy dry thing. So this will go with the chicken feed and the pig feed for the next couple of days, all the dry pulp. So if we had a really good working compost heap, it'd work really well in the compost heap. A bit acidic, but lots of organic matter, but we don't have a particularly well working compost system at the moment. Another thing to add to the list. So yeah, I'm just going to go through and keep doing jug after jug until I have strained it all. I did wonder, I do have a steam juicer, and I don't find steam juicers particularly good, honestly. I find that yes, you don't have to do as much work with the product that you're putting in the steam juicer, which is where you can save some time. But I find the end result of the juice that you get out of it is just it's not very much. I feel like there's a lot of liquid left behind in the fruit. But I do wonder if at this point it would work well. Like after I've simmered it and it's now already broken down, all the fibre of the fruit has broken down and all that sort of thing, whether now would be the time that it would be efficient sort of thing. But I don't know. So I think I'm just going to stick with this for the moment because I'd have to wash the steam canner, and that's the other thing. It's a very large unit and I only have a small sink, which is why we're going to put a laundry tub in my kitchen as well as my kitchen sink for things like my canning pots and things like that I find it really hard to wash. So that's another set of pulp, and I'll just show you. So that was 2. I didn't empty this in between. So let me just empty that. All right, and show you. This is the amount of liquid that I got from those 2 cups. So I'm going to have more liquid than fits in this smaller pot, I would say. But we will get there. So I'll keep going. I'll bring you back. All right, so we ended up with about, tilt you so you can see, 44 cups of liquid, or about 11 litres of liquid. Which is a lot considering I only put 2 litres of water in that. So I only put 2 litres of water in that entire pot, and we've ended up with 11 litres of liquid. So it is predominantly pineapple juice. We have all this pulp here. Now, if this was fruit pulp that didn't have the skin in it, I would use this for like bliss balls and things like that, but it's skin and everything. It's all the bits. So instead, this will go to the animals. It'll be mixed through their feed, spread out in their pens for them to forage through. And yeah, so that's what that will be used for. And now I need to work out my sugar ratios for this. So I need to put this on the stove, bring it up to a simmer, add the sugar, keep it stirred while the sugar's in there so that the sugar doesn't crystallize on the bottom and it dissolves. And then we'll simmer it for say 20 minutes to make sure that all the sugar is dissolved, because if there is any sugar crystals in it and you haven't dissolved them all, then this fly is really determined to fly here. Then it has the potential to recrystallize in the jar. So let me get my calculator out and work out the weight of sugar as a 1-to-1, and then I'll probably balk at that and not be able to put that much sugar in because it's all too much. But let me figure that out, get this tidied up and get started. All right, so 1-to-1 is for a syrup. We don't really want it quite syrup. We want it a loose syrup. So 1-to-1 would be like 10 kilos of sugar in here. There's no way that I'm doing that anyway, because I would not be able to do that. It's a waste of ingredients that I'll need for other things, but just not. So I'm going to start off with these. The sugar comes in, it's just raw sugar. Sugar comes in 2 kilo bags. I think I'll put 4 in it. And I may add an extra kilo to make it sort of the 1-to-2 ratio, because we don't want it to turn into jam either, though pineapple tends to stop sugar from setting properly. but we do want it sweet enough to use in the slushy machine, and that's the balancing point. Anyone who's watched me for a while knows that I generally am a bit lean on using sugar because I'm not a huge fan of using large amounts of sugar, but we're talking use for the slushy machine, and for that to work, it has to be sweet enough and thick enough. So if we've got 4 kilos of sugar in here, or around about 8 or 9 cups of sugar, which will turn into liquid, so we'll end up with sort of like 50 cups of liquid here. And if you're only using 1 cup, like 250 mils to 1.25 litres of water, 1:5 ratio, then you're only using, what's that? If there's 50, that's 10 over 4 kilos. You're talking 40 grams of sugar per entire slushy cup. That's not actually very much. So I'm okay with that. Breaking it down like that makes me feel a little bit better. 40 grams of sugar to 1 slushy machine, and the slushy machine is generally 5 to 8 servings or whatever. So you're talking 8 grams. It's still 2 teaspoons of sugar per slushy, but at the same time, slushies are a treat. So, all right, I'm okay with it. I'd prefer not to add any more sugar if I can get away with it, but we will see how we go. And because there has to be enough sugar in it for the slushy to work as well, because that's the thing too. If there's not enough sugar, then it'll freeze solid. It won't slushify because the sugar is what drops the freezing point of it. So the more sugar, the less it will freeze at the temperatures. So there's all these sort of like things to take into account. So we may need to add at least another kilo so that we've got a 1:2 sort of a ratio of this. But I will make a call. I will get this dissolved first, and then I will decide. All right, all the sugar has dissolved. This has just been on a low simmer for a little while. I end up adding that extra kilo of sugar. So there's 5 kilos of sugar in here to the 11 litres of juice. And sometimes that amount of sugar, which you need to make the syrup, also dilutes the flavour of the pineapple a little bit and just tastes like sugar. So I'm actually going to put 5 of those cubes of lime juice in there, and that will brighten up the pineapple flavour as well as bring up some lime. And just stop it from being just overly sweet. So I'm going to dissolve those in there another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to put it in jars. Now, I normally use my passata jars, but I still haven't ordered lids. There's a few things that I've had sitting in shopping carts and I just haven't bought lately because we just didn't have the cash flow and they just weren't necessary. So instead I'm going to put them in some mason jars. I've got some wide mouth and some regular mouth mason jars here, quart size ones, because I've got pouring lids for all of these. So that will work fine for this batch, and I'm going to order myself some calcium for my pectin and some Fowler's rubber rings that I've been putting off, as well as the passata lids and things like that. Things that I've been putting off that I need to order. So next time I'll have the passata jars to use. This is the colour it ends up. It's pretty amazing. Now, I forgot to say that if I was doing this as a cordial, so I would have less sugar in it if I was doing it as a cordial. And if I was doing it as a cordial, I would also add some, I probably wouldn't add any citric acid because I've just added lime juice and it's pineapple. Pineapple's very acidic anyway. But I would probably add some tartaric acid, which can help prevent fermentation and stuff. I'm not concerned with this batch because of the high sugar content and the high acidity with the lime and the pineapple. But when I make fruit cordials like peaches and apple and all that sort of stuff, I add citric and tartaric acid just to help with pH levels and to stop any chance of fermentation in the jar. If you process them correctly, you shouldn't get it anyway, but we live in non-optimal storage zone, like our we get really hot and really cold, backwards and forwards and things like that. So storage, yeah, non-optimal. The other thing about using these instead of using the passata jars is the passata jars don't fit in the steam canner. They're too tall. So with these I can use the steam canner, and I will do these for 20-25 minutes in quart jars to make sure that they're well sealed, because it will take us a while to get through all this. So you want them well sealed to sit on the shelf. All right, I've used some white vinegar and paper towel to clean the rims of every jar, and now I've got some wide and regular mouth lids, so I'm just doing them both. So rings on, fingertip tight. What do we got? Another wide mouth one. And then I have to decide how I want to can them. I think I can double stack quart jars in my buffalo, but I don't know if I could be bothered doing that, or if I'll just run. I'm gonna have to start cooking dinner not that far off anyway, so I'm gonna have to be out here. So this ring does not want to go on. So I might just do batches in the steam can like I did yesterday and just get them done over the span of the next couple of hours kind of thing. So I'm just going to get rings on all of these. I'm having some issues with my rings today. Rings on all of these. Get them canned. There's a little bit left over. I'm going to let that cool, and I'll mix up a slushie. They can have that with dinner. So yeah. All right. One batch of pineapple cordial is on. I've got 3 jars left, so I'll have to put them on afterwards. And I'm just starting on dinner. So while we've got the nice fresh veggies is when we take advantage of having stir fries and things like that are nicer with the fresh veggies than the frozen ones. Though I do use frozen veggies for them later on in the month. But they're always nicer with the fresh veggies. So I've cut up a big head of broccoli. I've got 4 zucchinis here. These are really nice zucchinis actually, because they were an expensive box. They weren't a clearance box. So they're lovely and firm. I actually need to make some more of that. I was just thinking that I'm going to make some more of that. I threw together that zucchini pasta sauce that I made with the chicken trim and the bacon and the caramelized onions and stuff, as just I didn't have a lot to do and a lot to make food with, and threw it all together, and I really liked it. So I'm going to do some more of that sauce up in the next few days. Tomorrow is probably going to be peaches. I'll probably end this video with dinner tonight. So what am I making? I'm doing the crispy chicken noodle stir fry that I really like, that I make every grocery trip. So I'll show a photo of that at the end. I have shown how to make it a few times. I do need to get it up on the website, but it is a pretty simple sort of a dish. And yeah, just finished the pineapple cordial. I've got that slushie on. I was thinking that it might make some really nice like pineapple sorbet or something too, so we might give that a go at some point. But yeah, just getting all this cut up. Got some pak choy, got my chicken, getting that done.